Yo, 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 no maniacs. Welcome to the show. This is Nomad live, all Bears all the time in conjunction with Sports Zone Chicago and the SuperBack. Shawn Sierra just busting up in this thing,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Welcome to the show. Man, look at I see a bunch of people. Hey, listen, our special guest, Adam Rank, he might be running late right about now, but I believe he is coming. And so we'll just kind of keep a conversation going on until Rank gets here. A bunch of questions I wanted to ask him. And it's a bunch to talk about, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm starting to get a little bit anxious, and this is pretty typical for me around this time of year, but really, really typical for me under these circumstances. I feel good about where number one is going. I think everybody else does at this point. If you're not, I don't know how we can convince you by this point. I just don't know. It seems pretty apparent where they're going at one, and so I think it's an afterthought. But it's a bunch of stuff going on in and around the number 9 pick, Caleb's podcast interview, just a bunch of rumors going on. But we intend on getting to it all, and we'll talk about all of it in depth when we get Rank on here, and then even when he leaves, and we'll talk about a little bit of that stuff in depth after he's gone. But again, welcome to the show. I'm seeing a bunch of people in the chat, but I'm not going to steal Kedz's job today. I'm gonna leave that to Kedz when we swing it around to him.
Let's give Thanks, bro. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
All right, man. Let's give out some pleasantries right quick, Shawn.
Man, sports zoners and no maniacs unite. Happy Monday, my people. So all my people's in the struggle. What a phenomenal day it is. It's Monday, the start of a new week. Turn beast mode on, activate it, and let's get it going, baby. You know what? It's draft week. I'm excited. I'll let you know about the draft party we're having here in Chicago with us. And I'm excited. The giveaways and just the constant talk of what's going to happen with number one, which we kind of know, or it's been made apparent to us. But then all the speculation about number 9. So there's that alone can fill up a 3-hour show in itself. So those options are endless, and everything that happens from 2 to 8 at that point are endless. So man, let's get to it, kids. Get with it, Canuck. Get with it, Papa.
Yo, it's draft week, y'all. It's draft week. We're almost there. The Bears almost have a brand spanking new quarterback, among many other things. It's going to be something. I'm excited. The SuperBack is excited. My guy, the Bishop, is excited. Nomad's excited. Adam Rank's going to be excited when he joins us here at some point today. Right now, Adam Rank is slipping in the ranks. I had that one. I was saving that one. Anyhow, we're waiting for Adam Rank when he's still. Thank you. Give myself an Iron Mike Sharp pat on the back for that one. That one is also for Adam Rank. Little old school wrestling reference. In any event, give some love to the folks out there in the chat. Broski Bears in the building. Dobbsy 34, James Ford, Oliver Chapman. What's happening, Oliver? Our guy Crimson Yiddig is in the building. Patty Laura, Armando Laura. What's up to both of you? Kenny Adams, J2K's holding it down with us. Evie Bear Down Davis, Squeegee, Trappakeepa, Jason Jones. Who else we got out there? Oh, Creighton Wilfon. Hey, Creighton. Thanks for showing up, brother. We appreciate it. Plank, the Planksters, always the number one no maniac in the building. Mark Kazak, Marco King, Smitty. Yo, it's going to be a great show today, y'all. Let me throw it over to my guy, the Bishop. What do you got to say, Bishop?
Only thing I got to say is Chi-Town, stand up. What it do? Yes, the Bishop is still in the house. I'm right here in the Chi kicking it with you guys, man. It's been a long weekend, I must say, a very long weekend. Either way, I want to thank all you guys for joining us this afternoon. It's always a pleasure. And I have to admit, I miss my guys. It's so good to be able to talk and chat it up and talk about some Bears football. To my faithfuls out there, my boy Stuart and Sophie out there in Florida, my boy V-Dub, actually off the truck earlier today, my man out in the D. And to my two favorites, Rita, Felicia, but to Chi-Town, West Side, South Side, stand up. Nomad, to you, my brother.
Man, appreciate you guys again for being here, fellas, man. Hey, look, just a little bit of house cleaning right quick. The draft coverage we're going to have for you guys is going to be, we know for sure we're going Thursday, Friday. Hopefully we'll be doing, I think we're going to do Saturday regardless anyway. I think we're going to have to do that. But just to let you guys know, got a bunch of people lined up for draft coverage. It's going to be special over here. Got a bunch of No Maniacs that are going to come on and join us live. Some people, some special guests, some other special guests that'll join us too. And I got a surprise or two for you guys that you probably won't see coming. So I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a bunch of draft coverage out there. If you can split your time between everybody's coverage, it's fine, man. You know, respect everybody's podcast and their coverage. But it's going to be a special time over here. I can promise you that. I already got my Patron ready. It's going to go down the whole weekend.
Ooh, you're doing a Patron, are you?
Hey, I'm going to be drunk. Just the whole time.
This is hey, everybody, this is the disclaimer now. This is the disclaimer. Go ahead, Nomad. Go ahead.
No. I mean, get your drinks ready, man. It's going to be a draft party, man. We're going to have a real good time with it all, man.
We will be an adult show that night, so please make sure the children are not in the same room if they're watching the draft.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good time, man. We're going to have a ball. I am prepared for it. I've been waiting on it for a while. This is one of those nights that you want to be loose. You want to have a good time. And it should be that kind of atmosphere in a draft like ours, man, because they're telling us this whole draft is going to be absolutely pivotal for us. And if you believe that, like I believe that, yeah, it is. And I think regardless of what you think, Ryan Pohl's decision making, whether it was good or bad, regardless of what you think, it's still going to be a good time, and it's still fun to be optimistic about this whole thing because I am there. Didn't start that way, but I came around, especially after this pivot interview, which we would talk about in detail. Man, he might have won some points with me on that interview, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Shawn, man, hey, when Rank gets here, if he shows up, man, I just need a few minutes with him before I bring everybody in. Shawn, you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you went dead on me, man. I'm like, what?
No, I'm like, okay. I was nodding. I was like, okay.
Okay, because we'll try to keep them rolling, man. We'll try to keep them here a little bit longer than 20, 30 minutes. So because I know a bunch of people got a bunch of stuff they want to talk to him about. But hey, man, how about this, man? We can't talk about this before he gets here. Zach Wilson went for a 6-7 swap. 6th, 7th round pick swap to Denver Broncos, man. Leaving.
Brilliant.
I mean, that is, that happened like probably about 30, 45 minutes before we got on the air.
Yep.
I saw it.
Shawn Payton, you little devil, you Shawn Payton.
You want to speak to that, Shawn?
Yeah, it's good. You know what? Change the scenery. Change the scenery, get out of there. The lights aren't as bright over there. And you know what? He's got a guy who can call plays. He's got a guy who can develop quarterbacks. He's got a guy, who's he's starting. Obviously, he wants him. All right, he's trying to make a statement with Russ. Okay, they batted heads. All right, they locked horns from Jump Street. This is the guy that he wants. So if he's smart, he's gonna say, "Hey, listen, you know what? Let me just kind of let me take to his teachings, his tutelage, and go from there." He got a chance to resurrect his career. I'm not putting a gold jacket in his future, but that doesn't mean you can't have a very productive rest of your career. All right, let's not forget. Just because someone isn't a Hall of Famer doesn't mean they don't have a very good, productive, maybe even great career. And he has the opportunity now. What he does with it, well, now we're going to see. But he has the opportunity with a fresh start. Okay, and you know what? To him, as I say to all guys who have that opportunity or get a new opportunity, make the most of it, kid.
Shawn, what do you think about what J2K has to say here? It makes him think that the Broncos aren't trading up.
No, why you trade up now? You don't need it. You don't need a quarterback.
Right.
And what spot are they sitting in? What spot are they sitting in again?
Number 11.
Number
11. They're number 11.
No,
they're number 12. Number 12.
Minnesota's
right.
11.
12.
Number 12. Yeah.
12. Yeah. So they don't have to worry about that. They can now. It doesn't mean that they don't trade up, because what if they see? All right, you got Cortland Sutton. What happened? Did Judy get traded?
Yeah, Judy's gone.
Yeah, so that still might not stop them from trading up to get a stud receiver, depending on how the board falls. Because if you find a guy that you like, you can't. What if you like Xavier Leggett? Xavier Leggett's not one of the top receivers, but if Sean Payton feels that that's the guy that would fit their scheme the best, outside of the big three, of course. hey, it's possible. It's
Saying
possible,
Judy-
but I
Judy
don't
with the
think they'll definitely jump. I don't think they'll jump up for a quarterback. That's what I should have said. I don't think they're trading
No.
up for a quarterback.
Okay.
But if you see a receiver you like, like, hey, this guy going to fit our system, they may just do it.
Trapper Keeper saying, I think he's saying Judy moved on to Cleveland.
Cleveland.
That's what he said.
Okay.
He went to Cleveland.
Yeah, okay.
What
Thank you,
about
Trapper
Cortland
Keeper.
Sutton? Is he still there?
Who?
Cortland Sutton.
Sutton.
Yeah, he's still in Denver.
All right, man. That's tough times in Denver. Even though they might have some level of quarterback right now, they've spent some decent capital on wide receivers. Two of them is gone. The other one hasn't really been showing up on the field. So we'll see what happens. Zach Wilson. I mentioned it much earlier into the season. I thought maybe we should, into the offseason. I thought maybe we should have thrown a late round flyer at Zach Wilson to have him as a backup there. But hey, if he gets a starting opportunity in Denver, good for him. I think Sean Payton will definitely help him make the most of it. I'm not really sure, how what's going to transpire there, but I don't foresee great things over in Denver. But hey.
So right before the show, Mr. Bryan in the green room rolled out the red carpet to Bishop. The Bishop, he said, "Hey man, here's your chance, man. Go get you a sandwich. Go get you something to eat." He said, "No, I'm good, Brian. I already had something to eat." What's he over there doing right now? Eating. That's always. You see that look on his face because he knows. Go ahead.
Snacking on Bishop. Hey,
Rank.
What's happening? Speaking of eating, that's what I'm doing. I gotta do better with people. I'm on the West Coast, so I was looking and I'm like, oh wait, this says 3 Central, not Pacific. So I apologize for not being smart enough to figure out the time change. Let's just do a universal one. Like I've never missed the start of an Arsenal game because I can always do that math, but this is where I get tripped up.
that's crazy math for the Pacific, no?
Yeah. We're way behind. I remember years ago.
Or we could just
Years
do
ago, I think
military
it was
time, do it on Zulu time, do the military time. That'll
That's
keep it
what I
locked
should
in.
do. Yeah. Then you're locked in, ready to go. I remember one time my dad and I were in Hawaii. Must have been like 91, 92 probably. And the Bears 49ers played a game on Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football started at 4 p.m. there. The wildest thing.
So Rank, man, I want to thank you for coming, man. Really, I want to say this to you with all my heart, man. It's fun watching a lot of Bears, people that cover the Bears on TV, but nothing quite like you. Nothing at all quite like you watching you on TV. And by the way, that guy up in the top right corner, that's your biggest fan in Canada, man. That's Kedz a Canuck. Big fan.
Oh, nice.
Huge fan, brother. You're a big wrestling fan. So am I. You're a Bears fan. You represent so hardcore as far as the Bears is concerned on the NFL Network for us. Love you, brother. Mad love.
No, I appreciate it. I love doing it too, and it's one of those things that for me, it means a little bit more because obviously, if you know my story at all, most of this stems from my parents being huge Bears fans. That you know what, if the Rams hadn't moved, who knows what would have happened? Even though I'm originally from Chicago, I grew up here in Southern California, and then I feel like everything is just like an extension of just saying the stuff my dad would be saying if he was still with us, and like some of the comments. So a lot of the things that I say, especially when I'm talking about the 80s, I always sound like I know what I'm talking about. It's usually repeating, just growing up, not really knowing what's going on, but at the same time, knowing my dad was upset about certain things. Like, because for anybody who's not unaware, I live in Huntington Beach, which is the city where Jim Harbaugh is living right now. He's in a motorhome not far, and I'm trying to find it. I think I saw it the other day, but nobody. I'm not going to knock on the door. But I'm going to actually lurk around long enough that if he pokes his head out, I'm going to say hello. I'm not going to talk about the Chargers or anything like that. I just want to be like, you know what? My dad always says they hadn't benched you, would have won the Super Bowl, but whatever. I mean, like when we think about the current, and I'm sorry that I'm just launching into stories. Nice to meet everybody.
That's why you're here, brother. You go.
Good to see you all. Nice to meet you. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. When everybody talks about the curse of the Bears quarterbacks, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer because I don't think that it's been a lack of like finding quarterbacks. I think the Bears have done an okay job of finding quarterbacks. It's just how they've used them. Obviously, Jim McMahon was a really good quarterback. They didn't use him properly. When I had Jim McMahon on my show years ago, you know, it was interesting listening to him talk like I was never allowed to throw the football. And you're like, oh yeah, like that guy threw for like 50,000 yards at BYU. And he was handing the ball off to Walter Payton. And you wonder like, hey, if he had played for the 49ers, if he had replayed, you know, if he was would he have been like the most prolific quarterback in NFL history? You know, if they would have protected him a little bit more, things of that nature. And then right after that, like the Bears had pretty good luck of going from Jim McMahon, who was an excellent quarterback, to Jim Harbaugh, who really had a nice NFL career. You figure like he was playing well into the 90s. As a matter of fact, I think that he played with Marvin Harrison. If I'm not mistaken, we were doing our draft prep, and I'm like, you know what? I think Jim Harbaugh and Marvin Harrison intersected in Indianapolis, and I think that was the case, which is wild because, you know, Jim Harbaugh could be coaching his son in Los Angeles. And so Jim Harbaugh was an excellent quarterback that if Mike Ditka had just not screwed around more than Buddy Ryan, if he would have just stuck with Jim Harbaugh, 88 might have looked a little bit different if you would have stuck with him towards the end of like, God, you know, it's really, so I don't think so. It was more of the usage of the quarterbacks and the Jay Cutler thing. It's a mystery why. I mean, he obviously got hurt, which is why he wasn't able to pass for 4,000 yards. But Jay Cutler was excellent. And if Mike Martz had never been hired and they had kept Greg Olson, I think that we would be looking at a franchise. You know, those are two instances where you're like, yeah, we would have had pretty decent quarterbacks. That whole narrative would have been over and done with. But I think that what we're looking at right now with Caleb Williams is a similar situation to where where the Kansas City Chiefs were a couple of years ago, where if you really sat down and took some time to look at the Chiefs quarterbacks from Len Dawson through Alex Smith, they never got it right either. Now, obviously they had 2 years of Joe Montana that worked out pretty well. He got them to the AFC Championship, and I'm surprised he didn't get them to the Super Bowl that one year. That was kind of, I think they should have gone in 95. One of the Bills last year's, the Chiefs should have beaten them. But in any event, they had some nice years with them, but still had never solved their quarterback issues. And then it just takes the one guy. And I truly believe that Caleb Williams is going to be that one guy. The more that you watch his interviews, the more you watch him conduct himself, you're like, this is absolutely the guy that we want running this franchise. And I think it's the right intersection of time. You know, I wish that, you know, if Justin Fields had been coming along, if during this era, because I look at Justin Fields when he was a rookie, the throw he made against the Steelers and all that stuff, that like, yeah, if they had put him in the right position with the right weapons, he might not have gotten into some of the bad habits. It's kind of like when you're at the driving range and you just start hitting bad shot after you just like, you gotta stop that cycle. I truly believe that they would have ended up doing well, but I think Caleb is going to be the guy.
Hey,
man, let me add a wrinkle to Adam's statement there. What first wrinkle is Mike Tomczak, as per Creighton Wilfong. Here we go, Creighton.
Eric Kramer had a nice season too. Like, it's okay.
Kramer. Third wrinkle, I didn't even think about it. Third wrinkle, Doug Flutie.
Now, Flutie, I think Flutie was the wrong era. I really do. I think that if Doug Flutie was a player who is just coming out of college today, he's fine. He's probably Tua Tagovailoa, probably a better version of Tua Tagovailoa. Tua's good. Tua's good. I don't want to diminish Tua, but I think like a very similar type player that I think that he was just the wrong era. And you get that a lot. There was a player named Damon Allen, who is the brother of Marcus Allen. Yeah, if you ever talk to Marcus about this, actually, he's too competitive with that. He always loved to talk about Tom Flores getting into the Hall of Fame, and obviously he made it. But I would always say, hey, like Damon should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I know it's Canadian, but I think there was a sibling rivalry, but he was one of those guys. But in any event, like there's certain guys who didn't hit the.
Damon's a beast. Like Damon, like tippy top upper echelon quarterbacks in Canada. Damon Allen, Doug Flutie.
The best. Yeah, he was the best.
Yeah.
Like Cal State Fullerton was developing all these players because it was like Alan Pitts, Mike Pringle, and Damon Allen came from this small school where I ended up going and went to Canada and were legends.
Wow. You know what, Adam? I don't want to rush you, and I want you to know something too. Before these guys are going to drop out, so I can ask you a few questions, and then they will come back. But before I want you to know how much love you actually got from the viewers of this show. I mean, they absolutely love you.
Until I was late. Then they're like, "Hey."
No, but
I was
that love also comes with the stray, and you caught one right before you came on. I gotta show you.
Please do.
Tell Rank to stay away from our rookie receivers. He's open too.
Oh, that is funny. That's good. Hey, you know what? I'm not giving up on Tyler Scott whatsoever.
Me either.
Not a chance.
You better
not
not.
a chance. You know what? I told him this when this happened. I said, well, we joked around. And we were joking around at the Super Bowl, and I said, "Hey, I go number 13," and without even knowing it was going to be Keenan Allen was going to be in the mix as well. Like, your number 13 is going to be worth a lot of money. I go, "Here's what you got to do. Like, don't charge Caleb any money. Like, if we end up with Caleb, like, don't just give him the jersey. Don't even put it, like, you want those targets in the red zone." And so, but then he's already number 10, so it's all for naught, and it's not been a great track record for me. So if we do draft Marvin Harrison, I'll probably never talk to him until he has 1,000 yards receiving, and then we'll jump in.
Well, Rank, I'd say no. What do you mean? If you just made 10 point something, you couldn't have $10 million in NIL money. You're damn sure paying for this number 13, homie.
I get that, but I think the numbers
from your Malibu estate the state that overlooks the city of LA. Just sell me from there.
That is such an incredible. Well, you know what's funny is that's Reggie Bush got busted for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was funny because, like, again, living out here in Southern California, Matt Leinart was doing the same thing. Like, him and was it Dwayne Jarrett, who was their top receiver? Like, they would be riding like, you would see them riding around in a Land Rover. And I know Matt's parents they got a little bit of money. Actually, I don't think the Leinart family was that rich. I know he ended up in Mater Dei, but Mater Dei recruits a lot of kids, so you don't have to have the money to go there. But my theory, and I actually believe this is the actual truth, is that for years, all these guys were getting kickbacks. I think as long as it went through the head coach or somebody in the administration, you were fine. Reggie Bush cut his own deal, so to speak, and I'm kind of talking out of turn here. I shouldn't speak to Reggie's business because Reggie's a great guy. But it's like all he was doing was getting a house for his family, which every other kid in college sports was doing, but because he was getting it from the wrong person. And I think it also doesn't hurt that Matt Leinart looks the way he does and Reggie Bush looks the way he does, and it's like, oh, who's gonna get in trouble now? Okay. And so at some point, and then, you know, and it's so dumb when they like take back the Heisman, and they're like, well, we're not going to count their game again. I'm like, I saw the game against Oklahoma. Like, no, that game happened. That happened, and Reggie Bush was excellent. You can never take that away from my eyes.
Right.
Like, we were playing a game. I was coaching my soccer team, and we were playing a scrimmage on Wednesday, and one of my girls got called for offside, and she was upset. And I'm like, she wasn't. But I'm like, I saw what happened. Like, you did everything we've been practicing. You turned, kicked the ball, didn't hesitate, put it in the corner. Like, that still happened, whether they called offside or not. That exists in the universe. Similarly with Reggie Bush, like, that still existed in the universe. And so Caleb Williams was able to benefit from all of that. So yeah, I guess he's not hurting for money, but he could throw a couple. Although I don't know who's going to be 13. I'm curious as to see I'm more invested in that than I should be.
Wow.
Yeah, because what was his number? Keenan Allen shows like
he was 13. He was 13.
No, he was 13 in San Diego or LA, but I think he chose another number here.
He could have. I haven't paid close enough of attention. He was 21 in college because I think it was after Calvin Johnson wore 21 at Georgia Tech. So I think that Keenan Allen wore 21 at Cal.
So real quick, we're going to drop the rest of the panel out just for a few minutes, and they'll come right back just so I can ask you a couple of questions, which you did a pretty good job at answering thus far, Adam. Mm-hmm. Do you feel good about, given the situation Poles had with Justin, the situation being what it was, him moving on with a lot of meat on the bone per Mike Tomlin on Justin Fields.
Yeah.
You feel good about the decision that Poles made?
I really do. I think it is going to end up being the correct decision because a lot of it comes down to the economics of the NFL. And you have to make decisions that are based on that as well. And, I like Justin Fields, and I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. And he is going to be somebody who does some damage in the NFL. And I think if the conversation was between Justin Fields and Drake May or Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, I don't think it's a decision at all. I would have 100% gone with Justin Fields, and it wouldn't have been a hard decision at all.
Right.
But I think that Caleb Williams kind of changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And as people go out there and look at the tape and watch him and get to know him a little bit and kind of understand his character and really get to the crux of the matter of how good of a football player that he is, then it made the decision really easy. I think if the Bears were drafting 5 and 9, they could have possibly moved up to try to get Caleb Williams, but I think most teams, Washington would have drafted Caleb Williams. The Patriots would have drafted Caleb Williams. It would have been a team like Arizona, who even then, I'm not sure that Arizona would have chosen Kyler Murray over Caleb Williams. So I think the Bears just found themselves in a unique circumstance where they went out there and they decided to go with Caleb Williams instead of going with Justin, because at 5 and 9, you think about the team they could have added, like they would have for sure gotten one of those top 3 wide receivers, and there wouldn't have been an issue about that at all. And the team would have been loaded. And I think Justin could have played well, but I think you have a chance to go to another level with Caleb Williams. So I'm very comfortable with that decision.
Okay. You know what? I've come to that conclusion. I feel good about it. Now, I wasn't always there. I will fall on my sword right now. I was very critical, not of his talent at all. I always respected his talent. I always thought his arm talent was elite. That's pretty apparent for anybody to see. Anybody that doesn't study tape, you can see that quite clearly. He brings a little something extra to the table that Justin could not. I mean, the quickness and of the release, that's the one thing that really stands out. Just that, being able to perform in the quick game and being able to get that ball out quick gives them opportunities for the playmakers to do things that Justin's kind of delayed release could not. So for that matter, I'm giving him a thumbs up. And you know what? I don't know if you watched the Pivot interview. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I did. Yeah, of course.
He I think he won me over because one of my criticisms about him was some of the stuff that he displayed on the sidelines at USC made me think, and you know what? And I'm going to change that opinion. It made me think that he might be a little bit emotionally immature as opposed to someone like Justin. And, because he had a few outbursts over there with the coaches, a couple of players.
Yeah.
But looking at his interview on the Pivot made me bend that conclusion to say that I'm just going to attribute that to him being spicy and very competitive, because what I came away with was a level of tunnel vision and just focus that I didn't realize he had. He's really, really dialed in on wanting, when you put yourself in a conversation with the greatest that ever done it, wanting to outdo that, and that's your goal, man. I'm gonna pivot on what I said about him and just leave it to him being able to prove me wrong, because I believe in what he can bring to the table. But how did you feel about it?
No, you know what? It's interesting because we were just talking about Caleb Williams having that penthouse in downtown Los Angeles that overlooks the Staples Center. And I think back to Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality of how he was and how he went about his business. And to me, Caleb Williams exhibits those kind of qualities mentally, where he's mentally strong. And, I think that as we get older, there's a generation of people who are a little bit more emotional, that'll show a little bit more vulnerability. Obviously they talk about Caleb Williams, going over to his mother during or after a game. But you know what? Like sometimes like people are just emotional players. Like I remember there was a video years ago when Lyle Alzado finally won a Super Bowl and he was on the sideline shaking his fist. And he was crying. And like, I don't remember anybody questioning Lyle Alzado's toughness. And, and when everybody talks about, Caleb Williams, where his phone is pink, he might paint his nails. I'm like, well, there were people who were turned off by the way Jim McMahon behaved back in the day, where he had his spiky hair and he wore his headbands and sunglasses, and people didn't like that. You know, there was an older generation that didn't think that was cool. And now all these people who are kids when Jim McMahon was their guy and are now older being like, I can't believe this younger generation's like, well, your parents felt that way about your guy. And it's fine if you want to feel that way about your kid's guy. And obviously, you know, they should also mention Dennis Rodman did pretty well in Chicago. I think that there are just certain things that, you know, we start to get older, and like these kids are going to be a little bit different, and we're suddenly going to be the old man on the lawn looking at them. But I have no questions about Caleb Williams and his mental makeup and his mentality. And I truly believe that he's going to bring something special. And you know what? And as much as, you know, I like Justin and I'm a huge Justin guy, and I'm with you. Like I really understood the science of wanting to draft Caleb Williams, but I was also of the mind of like, we're giving up, you know, you're turning down a huge draft haul, which also would have been good, which I think would have built us for generations to come. But I'm going to trust Ryan Poles on this one and lean on his judgment. I just feel there's something about Caleb that is serious. Like him and Justin are both serious, but there's something about Caleb where it's a little bit more, I think because he is a little bit more eccentric, it comes off a little bit more natural. And I think that the one thing, and one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is him being a little bit aloof, where he's kind of like a smart ass, but he's a winner.
He's like an introvert, though, man. He comes off that way. Does he come off that way to you? He's an intro. He's not interested.
A little bit, yeah. But he's got some smart assness to him when he was talking about the color of his lips and all that stuff. And I'm like, if he's a good player, I really want the opportunity to have a guy who's that good to also make people who don't root for the Bears hate him, you know, kind of like with Rodgers. Like we just hated that guy. Like you didn't even acknowledge how good he was because you hated him so much. And if Packer and Vikings and Lions fans can't come to grips, like if Caleb Williams is beating them with painted nails, then I think that's even better. I think that's the cherry on the top. And I also see the comments too. And I know people say this, like Rodman wasn't the main guy. And fine, I'll still go back to the Jim McMahon analogy, but it's like, if you're trying to find, like some of you just feel like you want to find reasons not to root for Caleb Williams. And I will not understand that to this day. Like why? Like it doesn't matter. Like he is going to be our quarterback, whether you like his phone case or not. He is going to be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And it might not be your way, but if he's out there winning football games, nothing else should matter.
You're right about that, man. Really quick, a couple more questions that I have. Now, this is given. I know you probably feel good about the weaponry around him as it sits. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. You know, we got a couple of young guys in there that's trying to, you know, Tyler and Valus are still there. It depends on, you know, how they intend on using those two guys. We still have a lot of upside in either one of those two guys. I don't care what anyone says. All that, you know, being funny with you, that was funny, but
it's hilarious. No. Listen, we haven't done, neither one of them have won a Rookie of the Year. I can admit that. You know what's funny is I still think that Tyler Scott, and going back to the story that I think I derailed myself on, is I told him after that, I said, listen, I go, Keenan Allen plays in the slot, you play in the slot, you're probably like, you know, I understand what it's going to be, but you know, Keenan Allen currently is on what, a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. So he might not be here long-term. Like this is an opportunity to go out there and learn from a player and to go out there and just find the way that he does his business and really work on getting better. And if you're one of those players that comes around in even this year or the third year, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're in a better spot of going out there and being a guy. And you know what, when there's so much talent on the field, if you can find a way to kind of distinguish yourself and kind of be an annoying player for a couple of years, like there's plenty of guys in the NFL that you look at, especially at the wide receiver position, who have modest numbers their first 2 years. And you're like, God, this guy really took off in his third season. Tyler does still have the opportunity to do that. And I think that Valus still has a chance of being a Cordero Patterson type of player, which is what they kind of envisioned him as. And Cordero's first years were just nothing special. But if you can go out there and really just hone in, and again, you're not going to be counted. You're not going to be the guy who's expected to be a number one wide receiver. But if you can come in here and donate a handful of touchdowns and be an annoying player and play great special teams, and with the way that the kickoff rules are going to change, perhaps he can make his mark that way. So I think there's still a chance. I'm not giving up on Bayless either. So I'm looking forward to him and seeing what both those guys can do.
Do me a favor. The next time you get a chance to speak to either one of those two guys, let them know that you want to, if they want to join a podcast besides yours that really supports them and can see their growth and still wants to give them an opportunity and not kind of poo-poo on them, that we're the network, the Nomad Network. I absolutely love those two guys, man. And I know the panel feels the same about them, but really quickly.
Well, I will say this too. And Tyler Scott and I will be at Game Room Chicago on Thursday evening for the NFL draft. We'll be sitting there celebrating the first overall selection of Caleb Williams. We'll be taking questions from the crowd. We'll be hanging out. I think we're going to be in a top golf suite, so maybe we'll get some swings in. And we're just going to go out there and have a good time and celebrate the Chicago Bears and everything that's working out in our favor. So if you do get a chance and want to come up and see Tyler Scott, if this is anybody out there, listen, he's going to do it. He's going to be fine. So he will be there. At least for the first pick, and then for a couple, we'll see what happens, how everything goes. But he's going to join us for a little bit, so it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, we still think that he can do that.
What's the name of the spot again?
It's Game Room Chicago in the historic Chicago Athletic Association Hotel, right across from Millennium Park, right by the Bean and everything like that. So it's right in the middle of Chicago, and it's a great place to watch games. It'll be a great place to watch the draft. And no tickets, nothing required. Just show up and we'll be hanging out.
Sounds like a good time. You guys should go up there and check them out if you're in the area, man. Make sure you go and check that out. Sounds good. Sounds like a good time. Listen, now I'm talking about the offensive line. We know what Justin dealt with last year. We made a few interior changes. We got a couple centers from free agency. I feel good about Ryan Bates. I do personally.
Same here.
Watching what he put on film over there in Buffalo, I really feel good about him playing center. How about left tackle? I was the biggest Braxton Jones fan out there. And it became apparent to me over the last couple of years that his power from the waist down is lacking. And I don't know that he's got the body type to be able to put on the type of muscle in order to maintain an anchor and keep that kid clean, because I think that's just as important as having weapons around Caleb, is keeping him clean. He was constantly getting put on skates and pushed back and adjusting. That is, if there was a big worry about where we're going moving forward with Caleb Williams, I keep coming back to that. I don't know how you feel about Braxton Jones, but do you think Poe's done enough so far? We still have to draft. Do you think he's done enough so far to keep this kid clean and give him his best opportunity?
Well, we're going to find out how Ryan Poles feels about this, because if the Bears are moving up to take Joe Alt or something like that, or we take another offensive lineman with the number 9 overall selection, or move down and take a guy, or move up and take a guy, Ryan Poles will give us our answer. And so we'll find out how he feels about him. Now, obviously, this is a guy that has been a project for Ryan Poles, who drafted him in the 5th round out of Southern Utah. And so perhaps, he's seeing the same things, or that's the same evaluation. And we can sit here and speculate all you want. And in 4 days, we're going to have that answer revealed to us. So it'll be interesting. I'm a big Braxton Jones guy. I do love the athleticism. I do love what they're able to do with him, like how well he's able to get out in space and lead and all that stuff. He didn't give up a ton of sacks last year. And I'm curious too, if Justin sort of bailed early a lot. It felt like, I don't know. Whose fault is that? Is the offensive line? Is it going to be better? If Caleb is committed, to ripping it and believing in what he's seeing and not hesitating, does that offensive line get better? So I'm interested to see what the theory is behind that. Because again, I could sit here and speculate, but it all basically comes down to what Ryan Poles thinks. And if he's come to that same conclusion, we're going to be drafting a tackle there with that second pick of the first round. Otherwise, I feel comfortable with whatever decision Ryan Poles makes. As a matter of fact, I was just coming from, because I was filming a little thing for Run Rich Run over at the golf course here, and So somebody who's a kid who's a Lions fan who works there, he's like, hey, you feel good this week? I'm like, yeah, I trust Ryan Poles. He's like, do you? What about Chase Claypool? I'm like, if you're going back to Chase Claypool as your one knock against Ryan Poles, then I feel pretty good about our life. Like if that's the one miss, and every GM has them, I feel pretty good with where we're at right now. So I think we're cool. So again, I'm going to let Ryan Poles make that decision. I'm more of a fantasy person. So I'm like, let's move up for Marvin Harrison or do something crazy or get Roma Dunze or whomever, even Malik Neighbors. I don't care. But at the same time, if Ryan Poles comes up and drafts a lineman, I'm not going to be disappointed at all. I will understand it. And then that's good with me.
You walked right into the next question. And that's what I think what people came here to see is to see where your virtues are. Just put yourself in Ryan Poles' seat. You're sitting there with the number 9. You can get a blue chip player.
Yeah.
You could also trade back and get a few more, maybe a couple more picks for that number 9 spot. You can also, and you do have to have a trade partner in order to do it. You see a couple of receivers there between Malik and Marvin Harrison as absolutely elite. And there's a mindset in the universe that says, the right way to go about that is to get him the guy that's going to grow with him for the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
What would be your virtues if you're sitting there at 9, given all of that in a scenario? What would you do?
Well, if we're sitting there, and let's say, as you laid it out right there, he feels comfortable enough with the defensive line, offensive line, and receivers, where it's not like one is a glaring need. Now, if he's sitting there being like, God, I whiffed on Braxton Jones, I need to replace that ASAP, then okay, then let's make a move and go get Joe Alt and do everything like that. But if you're committed where you're like, we're good at every position, we don't have a need, and I get to pick, and it's kind of like when you were playing, what was the hockey game back in the day? It was like Blades of Steel. And you would build a hockey team, whether you could have a bunch of big guys who are slow, bunch of small Gretzky types who can do a lot of things. Like what do you favor? And so for me, I truly believe that if you added another wide receiver for the reasons that you said, in that Keenan Allen is 1 year for sure, maybe 3 at best or something like that. I do want the guy who is going to be there for a long time. And it's what Shane Waldron and the Seahawks did last season, where they had DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and they go out and they add Jackson Smith and Jigba. And they had issues on the offensive line as well, but I don't fault them for that selection. And I think that was probably the right move to make. Similarly, all things being equal, if you have determined that you don't have an immediate need, that you have a glaring need, that you absolutely need Joe Alt or Jared Verse or Dallas Turner, that you would go, I would pick the wide receiver. Like, hey, everything being equal. It's kind of like when I touched down in Chicago on Wednesday and somebody's like, you get to pick the pizza joint, whether it's Giordano's, Lou Malnati's, or Uno, or Gino's East, or whatever it is. There's none of them that are a wrong decision. If I'm letting somebody else choose for me, I'm like, none of those, I'm not going to be mad at any one of those. If we stop at a tavern and have the tavern style pizza, that's fine as well. So to me, there's no wrong answer. But if you're asking me to pick one, I would pick Giordano's. And similarly, that would be the wide receiver for me. So that's the way that I'm leaning.
I think you feel the same way as me. But hey, how are you on time, Adam? Do you have any more time, or you got it?
Yeah, I got more time. We got because I was late, so I can go to the top of the hour if you want.
They're having a ball with you, man. I'm telling you, you came to the right. They absolutely love you over here on this network, man. So we'll take a quick station ID and we'll get back. We'll bring the guys on for a few questions.
Ooh.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff, and Nomad at night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
That is right, you guys. Make sure you hit the like button if you have not. If you have not subscribe to the channel, please consider doing so, both here at the Nomad Network and also on Sports Zone Chicago. For my guy Shawn Sierra, man, we would appreciate any and all of the support you can give us. We are building over here. And again, we are joined by our very special guest, Adam Rank from the Sick Podcast and also NFL Network. Adam, I'm telling you, it has been a blast having you over here. It's like you're
it's been fun.
Man, I don't know if you realize how much people absolutely love you in this chat, man. They absolutely.
I don't think that's the case. I'm not used to that. I'm used to them going the other way.
Well, I think the guys may have a couple questions for you. We'll start with Shawn. You got anything?
Oh, I do, Papa. I do. Adam, what's going on, man? Shawn Sierra with Sports Zone Chicago, man. And I was going to ask you, so what are your expectations then for Caleb? All right, there's a lot of people who are saying, they're saying, he's generational. First, they're saying he's the best thing since Andrew Luck and one of the best quarterbacks. Okay, cool. But then everyone says, well, now he needs time to develop. Now he's stepping into a good situation. Some people saying, he should take him to the playoffs. It depends on what side of the fence you're on. Pro Justin, pro Caleb. Where the opinions run the gamut. What are your expectations for Caleb in year one?
Well, I believe that I would have been viewed as a pro Justin person. So then I guess I fall in line with a lot of that, but here's my expectation, because this was the expectation I would have had no matter who the quarterback is, whether it was Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, or Tyson Bagent. Last year, the Bears won 7 games. They lost 3 games where they had over a 90% chance of winning in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. We're talking about the Denver game, the Detroit game, and of course a game against the Cleveland Browns. So had they remained, if they had been victorious in all 3 of those games, they would have gone into week 18 in that game against the Packers, resting their starters, because they wouldn't have needed to win, because the Packers got in with 9 wins. The Bears would have been at 10. It wouldn't have mattered. And it would have been funny. And we would have been making fun of the Packers throughout this entire offseason, saying good luck to all of you and all this stuff. But unfortunately, things worked out the way that they did. The Bears lost. It didn't look good. I still come into this season, regardless of whom the quarterback is, expecting them to be in the playoff hunt and expecting them to be around 9 or 10 wins. Like, they still might drop some close games. And then at that point, you start looking at the head coach like, why are we losing close games? But I think there's a reasonable expectation to get close to double-digit win. I mean, that I'm going to go on the NFL Network and predict us to win 12 games, because that's what I do. There is a reasonable expectation for that. Like,
we love you, man.
Well, and think about this too. Like, Sauce Gardner tweeted out the other day. He's like, how do the Bears have 2 picks? How are the Bears as good as they are, and they have 2 picks in the top 10? Because we saw it last year with the Lions. Now, the Lions were picking in the top 10, but their own pick was 26 or whatever, 24, whatever it was. And like, that's normal. You're like, oh, you know what? Like, it's abnormal for a team as good as the Bears to be picking twice in the top 10. Like, it shouldn't, like, the fact that 7 wins still got us the top, like, normally that'd be 15, still got us a top 10 pick is preposterous. There is an expectation around the league that this team should be pretty good. And I with 7 being the absolute bare minimum floor, I think you could go 8. And I hate the uneven number of games, by the way. It's just so ridiculous.
Me too. Yeah.
So dumb. Just, you want to go to 18 games, or they're going to or I think they're either getting to the point where, like, everybody has at least one neutral field game in, like, Brazil or Australia or wherever it is, Brisbane, and that's still Australia.
Ho Chi Minh City.
There it is. China. Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, the owners are looking at China being like, we got to get into this market. So who knows? But whatever it is, 8 wins at the bare minimum, pun intended, bare minimum. And Caleb doesn't have to play that great for that to happen. And you see, and I know that a lot of people will point to CJ Stroud, but you have to understand the AFC South is a dreadful division. Like, that's a terrible division. The Jags were sort of winning that. Indianapolis was, starting Gardner Minshew, and the Titans were lost. This division's a little bit better, although I think people overinflate how good Minnesota is. And I'm so happy that Minnesota is. I hope that Minnesota has to spend 2 first-round picks for Drake.
Kind of tampering.
I love that they have, like, the Vikings are in such a decent enough situation to where they could just build their team. Like, just say, you know what, we're going to go with Sam Darnold. We'll be fine. I think Sam Darnold's a good enough player to pull this off. And then sit there and use those 2 first-round picks on not real players, but like players to help build their team. But they're going to, God, I hope they move up for Drake May and he Trubisky's them and that team sent back. I also subscribe to Jaquan Brisker's evaluation of Jordan Love. I know that everybody is just could not stop raving about him. I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know. He's fine. There was a long stretch of season before where people were like, yeah, they might have missed on this one. And then he had that rally against the Saints, which I blame the Saints for this. Then he had a couple of good games. He did not play well against the Bears in week 19, week 19, whatever the hell it is. Week 19, right? How many games they played?
18. I think.
18.
He didn't play that well, and they weren't playing against Jalen Johnson.
True.
We had a couple of rooks out there,
Right.
and still wasn't playing so well. And I'm like, I felt like the Packers overachieved last year, and they're probably going to regress a little bit. And I can't wait for that narrative. Like, you got away with it, and they're like, Jordan Love won all these games with these receivers. I'm like, oh, you guys are clowns.
You know
Like,
what,
They didn't even know who these receivers are. They got Christian Watson was one of the top receivers coming out. He had a dude, Romeo Dobbs, another one top receiver out of A&M. Like, obviously, these are people who don't know. Was it Nevada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Reno guy.
You know
the
something.
Reno dude?
There's something to be said though, Adam, and this is a philosophy that the Packers have applied since the 90s. Nobody really pays attention to it, but they've had the same offensive scheme since the 90s when Holmgren was there. They don't rush their quarterbacks out. They put them in the oven and they wait until that thing is done, and then they put them out there. I think there's something to be said to that. And I think had he came out right away and they put him on the field, I think you're looking at a different Jordan Love. I think he's more put together. I'm not going to say that he's some world beater out there, but he is much better, I think, for having sat those 3 years before.
Oh, yeah.
To that continuity of system, and they just keep cycling them in and getting them ready, and then they put them out on the field. I think there's something to be said to that.
Yeah, he benefited from that for sure. He is he's fine. Like, he's fine. Like, but it's also like the same thing of like Kirk Cousins too, where you're like, okay, he's fine, but I don't look at Jordan Love in the same lens that I look at Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, some of the good quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think that he's there, but you know, Packers fans seem convinced. So good luck with that, and hope it doesn't work out for you.
Kedz, what about you? You got any questions for him? And you guys in the chat, hey, we'll try to get Adam to answer a couple questions before he gets out there. We'll try. But go ahead and shoot any questions you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna start by saying that whole Jordan Love conversation is like the biggest jinx of all time. So let me just, where's the wood at? Knock heavily on some wood before that comes back to bite us all in the you know what. Adam and
wait, it's the Packers fans talking about him like we've got 3 Hall of Famers in a row. That's where the jinx is coming from. The Packers fans thinking that they've got the next Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre after a handful of games. I'm like, okay, if you think so.
Well, I'm going to give the Packers the little benefit of the doubt on this. I think they know what they're doing with quarterbacks. They sit them, they learn, and then they launch them on the world. And it's 3 times in a row right now. I'm just hoping this one isn't quite as talented as the last 2. That being the case, I'm moving away from Jordan Love. Enough Packer talk. Did you get the chance to watch the pivot interview?
Yeah. And we were talking about this a moment ago. Like, I loved it, and I had told, we were talking about this. Nomad and I were talking about the mentality of Caleb Williams. I think really was able to shine through And a lot of the misconceptions people had about him changed with that. And I couldn't help but draw comparisons to Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality, and the way he went about his business. And it's like, where sometimes where you're talking to him, you're like, oh, this guy, he's focused, and he's got one thing on his mind, and it's winning. And I think that's really what we need. And I think it's really going to shine through once he gets here to Chicago.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you got, Bishop?
Well, I wanted to throw in, first of all, Adam, it's a pleasure. I follow your show, man, and actually, you were the one that really inspired me to really like, okay, this can definitely be done, because I love your takes, man, and everything.
You're like, if this idiot can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, that worked with me too.
Like, I got it. Yeah, I understand. That tracks.
But I got circling the wagon on Caleb. Something that I took from the interview that I actually like. I'm a born and raised Chicago guy. Shawn's from Chicago, but Shawn had the pleasure of living up in New York for a period, so he's been on the East Coast. What I like about Caleb that I did not know until the interview was he has that East Coast brassiness about him. East Coast guys got they have a different type of swag and
vibe,
and cockiness about them. Yeah. And he actually, I kind of picked up on that during the interview. I said, you know what? As much as I was a Justin fan, and I wish him nothing but the best in Pittsburgh, and I'm accepting the fact that this is the direction we're going in. Actually, I like the guy. He actually got points with me from the interview. I said, you know what? I'm gonna give this young brother a chance, and I think he's gonna prove some people wrong, man. I just like that brassy and cockiness.
Yeah, like if you have a sibling who breaks up with their partner who you liked, you don't necessarily hate the next partner because you like you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, hey, this Caleb has nothing to do with Justin. If you're a huge Justin fan and you're disappointed that he's now gone and he's in Pittsburgh, I understand the sentiment. I am a huge Justin Fields fan. We'll be talking about this a decade from now, regardless of how Justin's career finishes off. We will still be able to go back and say, like, you know what? I was over the moon when we drafted him. I was his biggest fan when he's in Chicago. And I look back on his years fondly. He did some things on the field that were just never done before, and it was incredible to watch, and I'm glad I got to enjoy that. That has nothing to do with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is not the guy who walked in and said he needs to leave. I'm making this decision. I'm pushing him out. It's not like when he showed up and pushed out Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma, because I was cold-blooded. But he's now going to a situation where the team wants him, and we should support that. It's not, you're not anti-Justin if you support Caleb Williams. And it's, right. You can like both players. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, but you know what? One doesn't take away from the other. And
should have went with Wu-Tang and
you know what? I know. I tried. Well, here's my thing is like, I could try to fake it. I could try to fake it and try to be, but I'd rather just keep it real. That's something that's similar to me. Or like, cause I was like, you could like Tupac and Biggie.
Actually, there you go.
Actually, you can't. No, it's Tupac or nothing. Tupac's way better. Like that.
I'm on the other side of that.
I don't like that Tupac and Biggie get put together. They keep act like, wait, these guys, no. It's like, hey, it's like, Jordan and Harold Miner. You're like, nope. That's the way that breaks out. Big Tupac guy.
So really quick, Adam, before you go, man, we do have a couple of questions that we want to ask you. Let me put this up here. We already told you that. All right, here we go.
Oh, stop it. You wanted to throw that in one more time. That's fair enough.
No, I missed that one up. Hey,
what if Marvin Harrison gets drafted by the team and I'm avoiding him and he starts thinking that I hate him? And I'm like, no, I just don't want to jinx it because I've had some bad luck with our rookies.
Don't you dare do that. You better interview him if he comes here.
I wouldn't be afraid.
All right, Adam. Adam, what were your expectations for last year?
12 wins. You know what? And fair. I mean, obviously people roast me on the internet and they're like, oh, look at this guy, 12 wins. How'd you feel about that? It was very pleasant when even non-Bears fans were coming out and like talking about some of the things I was talking about a moment ago of 7 wins, 3 games that they lost where they had over a 90% chance of winning in the fourth quarter. So that team could have been 10 win. Like rank wasn't as far off as we thought, to the point of, I think I should get more credit for, even though 12 was wrong, those of you who said 4 wins, you guys were not correct at all. You underestimated this team and you don't belong in the conversation. And the people who said, and the joke was too, like when I put out my predictions, people were like, Bears are going to end up with the first pick in the draft, which they were correct. They were absolutely correct, but not for the reason why they thought it was going to happen. And my joke was always, I don't think Carolina's that bad. Apparently they were. So I thought double-digit wins. You know, I think Big Cat, Barstool guy, had them at 10 wins. I saw his video too, and he had them at 10 wins. So I'm like, okay, so Big Cat and I are about the same. But like, and he was a little bit more, you know, realistic, I guess. But like 10 wins was a reasonable expectation last year, and I think it still holds true for this season. And I think Caleb Williams probably doesn't have to go out and break the 4,000 yard mark, but I think that the defensively should be good enough to get into the playoffs with all the players around you. I mean, the one cool thing about Caleb Williams going into this season is that it's going to be the reverse of Justin Fields during his rookie year, where Justin Fields went from Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jackson Smith and Jigba to whatever we were putting out on the field 3 years ago. This is a huge upgrade for Caleb Williams. He's now going to be playing with better wide receivers than he did in college, which is not the benefit that Justin Fields had. And when you look at Jaden Daniels going to Washington, and I know Terry McLaurin's good, but like, God, he's going from Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., who is a great player. I know that the Jets fans don't agree with me on that one, but like, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
And so like Jaden Daniels is going into like, we saw what Jaden Daniels did when he didn't have great weaponry around him. I mean, it's always so shocking to me that everybody wants to bury Caleb Williams. Like this was a Orlovsky thing where he's like, God, I don't think that Jaden Daniels had a Notre Dame game. And I'm like, Dan, God bless you. Go watch his tape from Arizona State and tell me he didn't have that he didn't have a game. And that roster at Arizona State is going to be much more similar to what he gets in the Commanders than what he's going to find. So I don't know if there's anybody who benefited. Like, again, I don't want to jinx anybody. Oh gosh, sorry. That's the alarm. I got to go get the kids though. This is how my day works out.
Hey, I appreciate you, Adam, man. Hey, please come back to the show. We would love to have you back for another conversation.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Anytime you want, man. I really appreciate you for coming here. That was so gracious of you to come
here.
And
thanks.
Do this with us, man. But they love you here. We love you here on this panel, man, and you're welcome at any time. Doors always wide open.
Thank you so much. And if you don't already, subscribe to the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube. Even if you don't want to watch it, just subscribe. They're like, that's we do that favor for everybody. I'm like, yeah, I don't care if you watch. I go around to the school and these kids have my daughter's class, like everybody's into YouTube now. And I will take their device and be like, hey, do you mind subscribing to this real quick, please? But subscribe and then maybe watch an episode or two. You might like it. If not, no big deal. Just subscribe. And that's all I can ask for. But thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun and we will do it again in the near future.
Already got me as a subscriber, man. Always been there for you, man. Love you, bro.
Appreciate it. Love you guys. And I'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Go Bears.
Bear down.
Brother.
All right, man. That was Adam Rank from the Sick Podcast and also the NFL Network, man. Absolutely enjoyed that, man. That was so fun. I'm sorry, you guys, that we had start comments for you guys. We wasn't able to get to them all, but hopefully we'll have them back soon and we can get some of those questions up and ask them again, man. But what a blast, man. I just love his optimism, you guys. That kind of, you know how I am. I'm a glass half full guy. And somebody like that really he sits well with me, man. And I've always liked him from the minute I got a load of him, man. I just really appreciate the way he thinks about the Bears, the way he talks about the Bears. It's just a breath of fresh air when you look at national media in comparison to what other people say about us. Seeing him on TV is just refreshing to me.
Yeah, I didn't like his take, about Lyle Alzado. I'm like, Lyle Alzado cried with his teammates. All right, if you're a leader of the team, you don't go cry to mommy.
Somebody in the chat said that. I don't know.
Junior said it because me and Junior have had that conversation. If you're the leader of the team, you don't go cry with mommy. You cry with your teammates. You celebrate with your teammates, right? On big wins, then you need to be there as their leader when things don't go well. There's still something, and believe me, I'm gonna root for him. I hope my gut feeling's wrong, and unfortunately, I tell you, my gut feeling's usually right. I hope I'm wrong, but man, there's still something about Caleb. All right, and I think it was a redemption tour for him on these interviews and stuff like that. Believe me, I want him to do well. I want the Bears to win. I want Super Bowls. I want all this. Okay. But still, there's that. You talk about the level of maturity. Dude, he's a politician. He's a politician. And I hope, okay, I hope, that's fine. Some people, it's just something about him, man. Just dealing with kids my whole life, dealing with people my whole life. And, I still get this something. It has nothing to do with Justin. I've moved on from Justin. He's not here. I want this team. I want to be. What's up, Chris?
Let it go. Just let it go.
No, I'm just. No. Why? I'm just saying I didn't agree with his take on Lyle Alzado. I'm more than what I'm saying. When he said that, don't. But it's simple. It's crazy, but no one brings up that part. All right, so now you're creating a narrative like, no, everyone else cries. No, it's not the crying part that I have the issue with. Never had an issue with crying. Never with athletes cry. Don't run them on me. Don't leave your team hanging when they're suffering too. They're pissed off they lost too. They're hurt too. And you abandon them as the leader to go with mom. That's the issue that I had. That's my issue.
All right. So look, it's draft week. I no longer care about the crying, the phone, the nails, and the one thing nobody seems to talk about, the lip gloss. It's lip gloss. It drove me crazy. I don't care anymore. I just want this kid to do to do the things that haven't been done before. I want him to come in here. I want him to crush 4,000. I want him to crush.
I don't care about 4,000, dude. No, stop looking at numbers. I want wins. I don't give a shit. Did Troy Aikman ever throw for 4,000 yards? How many Super Bowls does he have? And does he have a gold jacket? I don't give a shit about numbers, bro. I don't care. I want wins, and if he wins, I'm happy. But I'm not saying the standard is 4,000. No, if he gets 38, if he gets 39,
but I want it. I want the things that every other team in the NFL has had over this time. I want the 30 touchdowns. I want the 4,000 yards. I want the wins. I want the Super Bowl. I want the NFC Championship, and I want I want the more.
All I care is ask Marino how all those yards feel for him. Ask Marino how being up until
you know what I mean. I do.
And he had a squad. He had a squad. He had the killer bees on defense. He had the Marx brothers.
On that front, I don't. If we have a 4,000 plus passing caliber quarterback, 30 touchdowns a year, we're watching some awesome football, guys. We are in store potentially for some much better caliber football moving forward.
For 4,000
and
yards.
That might be enough for me. Like, I might be able to live with that. Thus far, we've been scraping by with 3,000 yards, scraping by with much less touchdowns, barely making it into the postseason, if at all. This is our opportunity for all of that to flip on its ear. So at this point, this week, moving forward, me personally, I don't care about the other stuff. I want to watch this kid moving forward and his trajectory and what he does, and hope to God there's no point where I'm fully just disappointed and let down. I don't believe that's going to be the case this time around. I think we're actually in a position where we finally have access to somebody who can change offensively the trajectory of the Chicago Bears franchise. And if that's the case, he's walking into a situation unlike any other. I'm happy, y'all. I'm ready for it. I hope y'all are ready for it too.
I'll tell you what, man. You got something, Keith? Because we're gonna let's get ready. Let's give some shots. Anything you got to say about the whole? You know what, Keith? My bad. you want to respond to Rank in any kind of way before we wrap it up?
No, man. I mean, I enjoyed, just listening to him, and his take on some things, man. For me, and I understand where Sean's coming from, as far as, supporting Caleb, but also having those, those thoughts or wonders about a few behavioral things. With regard to me, I'm with Kedz with regard to I want wins. I don't have to have, but I'm also with Sean. If he throw for 4,000 yards, great. I don't want to sacrifice that for the wins. For me, I just want him to, I just want him to be his authentic self, be the best damn quarterback that he can be, but be better than the ones that's in the NFC North, win us the North, have us competing year in, year out, and just handle his business. Everything, whatever he does on the off season or off the field or whatever, that's his business, man. Do yours. It's all good. Who am I to judge? Because Lord knows, hey. So with that being said, man, I'm just ready. Thursday is coming. I'm getting antsy. It's time to get it.
I've been antsy for 3 months, bro. We're almost there.
Yeah, but I mean, even more so now, man, because this is the week.
Yeah.
This is the week, man. This is going to be so defining for this organization, for this GM. But in today's era, this guy being that NIL quarterback, let's see, man. Bears might, they might just strike oil like old Jed did. So
all right, man. How
Wow.
about this? How about this, man? Let's get ready to wrap this thing up.
Green Acres.
Let's
Not Green Acres,
pretty
the
good.
Hey,
let's,
the Hillbillies.
let's wrap this thing up, Sean. Let's give out some pleasantries before we jump out.
Sports owners and Nomadiacs unite. Great stuff today. It was good having Adam Rank on. Do me a favor. He said, please follow Sports Zone Chicago. Please subscribe to the channel. Like he said, it's free. All right. Even if you don't watch an episode, not a problem. Just subscribe. Great stuff. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Sports Zone Chicago, we're having a draft party at Output on Thursday. So if anyone's in, would like to come down and check it out, I'll be there. Best wings in the city. We got tons of giveaways. Real quick. I got Bears towels. I got Bears hats. I got a couple Bears squeegees and stuff. So it's the green Gatorade, which is why it's.
Hey, when you gonna send me some of that swag, man? What's going on, man?
When you come down to get it.
There you go. There you go.
So if you want to come down on Thursday, check it out, guys. We're gonna have a great time, and I love talking Bears. I love talking Bears, and there's a couple more days we get to talk Bears before we have 2 first-round picks, and man, it's gonna be even more funner. It's an old word I just made up. More funner on Friday once we know who those 2 picks are.
Yeah,
there's too many E's and R's in that fun, but more fun for the No Maniacs. Yo, No Maniacs, draft week. We're almost there. Thursday, we'll have a new quarterback, among other things. Today, we had a special guest, Adam Rank, on the show. It was awesome. Great chopping it up with Adam. Good to pick his brain a little bit. Same token, next time he's on, I've got bigger questions for him along the lines of wrestling and how he actually got onto the NFL Network. That's a big one. I'd really like to understand his true story and how he got there.
To that kid, man, it might be a dangerous story.
Hey, man, you never know. Definitely, he doesn't seem like one to take the path of least resistance. So I'm sure we'll get some sort of awesome answer to that question when I get the opportunity to ask him. But next time we'll save that. I got one more for Adam when he shows up down the road. In any event, guys, chat was pumping. Show we got a whole bunch of. It's funny. We got a whole bunch of heads today that, for the most part, may have departed due to their love or hatred of Justin and or Caleb. So good to see a lot of you guys back in the fold to hang out with us in Adam Rank. Laz, I caught you out there. Triple struck. Caught you out there. There's a couple other homies who showed up. Be yourself. Sports Style Chicago, our guy Triple R. Thanks for representing with us today, Triple R. Miss you, bro. Love you, bro. Charles Gilman, Jose Goncalves, and Jose Sanchez from Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Yeah, you didn't. No, you didn't. No. You didn't set that oop up right. You didn't set that oop up right, Kez. That was on you.
Run that one
All
again.
right, I'll take the heat on that one. I'll take
Take
the
that.
heat
Puerto
on
Rico.
that. Puerto Rico.
There you go.
All right, there you see, work this time. Anyways, y'all, hey, blessed show, blessed to be on it. My brother, the Bishop, bless us on the way out.
Hey, thanks again to the No Maniacs and Sports Zoners for hanging out with us again a little past an hour. We do appreciate it. More importantly, we appreciate you guys each and every day. You know, man, it's been a long 3 months, man. A long 3 months. And Thursday, one or two things can happen. Two things can happen. Are you not entertained or wah, wah, wah? We will find out. We will find out. I believe.
Hey, man, it's not going to be the other one. I'm going to put that out there now. I have no.
No, I don't know. I think we are going
heart
to be
for
entertained,
sound
man.
effects on Thursday.
We are going to be entertained. So I'm excited, man. Thursday evening, Thursday night, all day Thursday is going to be off the chain for me, man. I just can't wait. You know, I haven't been this excited, man, for a draft day in a long time. So with that being said, I'm gonna get ready to pass it on to Nomad. But everybody out there in the chat, everybody out there that's watching us on YouTube, hey, you guys have a safe rest of your day. I'm heading back to the south to Texas on tomorrow evening. So I'll be on tomorrow afternoon before I get ready to get on that flight. But let's do it, man. Nomad, to you, my brother.
Appreciate
hey,
everybody.
Nomad, real quick. Our guy Booker World.
Yeah.
King Booker World, $2 super chat. Just want to see some grown man football, King Booker. Me too.
King.
Yes, sir.
Me too.
Hell yeah.
Grown man offense and grown man defense.
Strap it up.
But King, appreciate that chat, man, that super chat, King Booker, man, because that leads me right into my clothes. Because I've come a long way. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows how much I stood 10 toes down for Justin. And to hear me give Caleb Williams my ring and endorsement and to be supportive of him in the same way might surprise a bunch of people. But I'm here to tell you one thing. You could be wise and have two independent thoughts function in your mind at the same time. You could think two things at the same time. You could be a big fan of what Justin Fields brought to the table, and you can still support Caleb Williams. Nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody tell you that there's anything wrong with that, but because it isn't. Now, as far as Caleb Williams go, that Pivot podcast made me do a pivot because I started to see something in him that I didn't know was readily available, man. He's got a certain, and I told Rank this when I was talking to him, he's got a certain tunnel vision to him that I like. And, you know, as a football player, it's a certain level of focus, Shawn. You know this, man. It's a certain level of focus that is required in order to be great. You want to be good, you can give 85, 90% of your energy to what you do, 75, whatever it is for you, whatever that percentage is for you. But when you're 100% committed to what you do and wanting to be great at it and wanting to answer every because it's going to be a lot of pressure on that kid, no question about it. It's going to be a lot of pressure on it. But something tells me, man, that if they finish doing what I think they're going to do and putting the right infrastructure around them, I think his chances are much, much higher for him to succeed than not. Now, you know, is it fair for him to be given all this pressure going into his rookie season? I think he's putting the pressure on himself. I don't think we can pressure him more than he's pressuring him. From listening to that podcast, anybody that watched that in total will come away with that same answer. I think he's pressuring himself more than we could actually do it on the outside, and I like that about him. You know, I put more pressure on me than anybody else would. You know, and I think that's how you maintain a high standard. Pressure the man in the mirror first. Pressure the man in the mirror first, and everything else can't even stack up to what you put on yourself. And I like that about that kid. You know, I was critical about his emotional maturity And I'm still somewhat critical about it because he's got this. If you listen to that podcast, you listen to him well, and he's got a tendency to want to respond to everything somebody says to him in a slight. And I think that's going to be a lot when he gets to Chicago and if things start going a little bit to the wayside, you're going to have to respond to a whole lot of stuff. And so that part, if I was advising him, I'd be like, man, you got to let some of that stuff go, man. All that stuff ain't important, man. But he's going to do that the way he wants to do it. He's wired the way he's wired because he's him. He's an individual, and I'm going to respect him for being the individual that he is. And I feel good about what he's bringing to the table. I really do, man. I think I'm getting more and more excited as we get into this draft, get ready to draft this kid. I'm getting more and more excited about what he can bring to the table. And I'm telling you, I'm going to support this kid like I supported Justin Fields. And that's balls to the wall. I'm going to give him everything I got, man. And I really do see him being able to achieve his goals, man. And it's just about what they do around him. And that's everything, the infrastructure, what they put around him, making sure he's comfortable in what he's doing. I think that's everything. If you do that, I think the determination that this kid plays with and that attitude that he has, man, I think we got a hell of a situation on our hands. We lost a hell of a situation, but we got an even better one, maybe. And so with that being said, I just wanted to thank you guys one more time for being here and being a part of this show. And you know what? I really appreciate for all the love and support you showed, Rank, for coming here, man. I think we made a friend today. I think he'll come back and join us another time. And I think that's largely due to you guys. So keep up the support, man. That was lovely the way you guys treated him today, man. So appreciate you guys for that. But before I get out of here, I got to leave you with these famous words: love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Bear down. Shy City. Stand up. Yay, yay.
Boom.